What's up, boxing fans? Greg Rowe Show Boxing. Well, as most of you have probably heard, about 24 hours ago, maybe a little more than 24 hours ago, it was announced that the Jake Paul-Hassan Rahman Jr. fight had been canceled. It is off. And as you can expect, there's things coming from both sides as to why. I want to give you my opinion and what I really think happened, what went down, and maybe what to expect moving forward from, both these guys. Are they going to fight? Are they going to end up coming to an agreement? There's a lot of telling things to me because, like I said, I'm a boxing guy. I live boxing. I grew up watching boxing. I've covered boxing for Fight Hype, for Max Boxing, for Boxing Talk, Ringside Report. Published. I've been published multiple times in Ring Magazine. So this is something I'm passionate about. Like, I'm not just some Joe Schmo that just rolled off my couch and was like, I like boxing, I'm gonna talk boxing. But there's a lot of dudes out there that do that. I'm not one of them. And real boxing heads know, real fighters, real promoters, people that are really involved with the sport of boxing know what happened, know what's going on, and they're not sugarcoating it. And then you have a lot of the the fanboys and a lot of the people, the casuals and whatnot in the sport of boxing who are thinking and seeing and feeling something different, right? So in my opinion, and I've listened to Hassan Rahman do interviews and all that in the last 24 hours. So I know that I'm on to what happened, and I'm not surprised by it. When you have a guy in Jake Paul that sends over a contract and wants to deplete a 230-pound heavyweight to 200 pounds, doesn't want to pay him, doesn't want to give him tickets, doesn't want to give him, a cut of pay-per-view, a cut of ticket sales. What that's telling me is it's the same thing as a fighter pricing himself out, right? I look at it like Winky Wright back in the day when he beat Felix Trinidad. I believe he only got paid $2 million for that fight, right? Well, then he called out Oscar De La Hoya. Oscar was like, I'll pay you, I'll fight you, but I'm going to pay you $4 million. And he was like, no, I want 10. You can't go from making 2 to 10, right? You got to work your way up there. Like if you made 4 with Oscar and you beat him, then you can ask for 10 in your next fight. But it's bad business. It's pricing yourself out of a fight, basically on purpose, right? And that's kind of what Jake did here. Is he forced so much bullshit on Hassan Rahman and his team that he didn't think that they were going to accept the fight. And then when they did, it was like, oh shit, well, now what do we do? Like, we gotta move forward here, because if I offer him the contract and it gets out that I did, and then all of a sudden he accepts it with all these bogus terms, and then I'm like, well, wait a minute, let me back off here, then I look bad, right? And Jake's all about, personal image. He's all that influencer, that internet, YouTuber bullshit. They're all about appearances, right? And so when Rahman, accepted the fight, you could see at the press conference, Jake was a little edgy, a little nervous. He could see that his shenanigans and all that shit wasn't working. He stood up next to him. You could see he was a much bigger man. It was contracted at 200, and then the athletic commission had him do some check-ins, some weigh-ins that weren't in the contract negotiations, just to make sure. And they said that they felt it wasn't healthy for Rahman to come down to 200. So they said like 204, 205. Okay, let's fight at 205. Well, Jake's people said cool to 205. And then when all of a sudden it's like, well, Rahman's at 215. And they're like, okay, well, we're going to send you over this new contract, and you have till 11:59 p.m. to sign it and to agree to it. And if you don't, the fight's off. Well, then Rahman and his team get the fight canceled on them without knowledge of anybody on his team, none of his knowledge. It's just thrown out on social media that the fight's canceled, and they say it's because of weight issues and that Rahman's unprofessional. Well, let's go back before I get into this. Let's go back to the original press conference where Jake Paul is telling members of the media and people watching live that his brother Logan, his trainers, his management, everybody's like, you shouldn't take this fight. Don't fight this guy. It's a dangerous fight, right? So keep that in the back of your mind. his words, what he said, what came out of his mouth at the press conference. Then you fast forward to this, and it's like they didn't even give him the option or the ability to make the 205 weight limit. Like, they pulled it a week before the fight. How many times in the history of boxing, especially recently, have you seen a fight, a pay-per-view fight, a mega fight, get canceled a week or a week plus out over weight? Like, it's usually like the day of, or somebody takes a fine, or somebody loses a belt on the scales, or something like that. Like, it's very, very strange to have a fight canceled a week or a week plus out over weight, because you're not even sure if that guy's gonna get to that weight. You don't know that he's not. Like, getting from 215 to 205, Rahman could do that in 7 days and make 205 on Friday and fight on Saturday. So what happened? Why did they all of a sudden just feel like we need to cancel this fight? They don't know that he's not going to make that weight. Now, if it was 2 or 3 days before and he was still, 215 or 218, and they're like, there's no possible way, fine. But give the guy the ability to make the weight that is in the contract. Give him the ability to do so. You already have everything in your favor. You already wrote in the contract that he's going to be fined for, whatever he's over the weight per pound. You already have all those stipulations in. So why cancel it a week ahead of time when you don't even know that he can't make the weight? That's just very, very strange. And you couple that with what Jake Paul said at the press conference, and you start to get a real picture of what's going on here. And if you really know boxing and you have an IQ over 15, you can figure this stuff out. This is all games. It's all shenanigans. So let me get this straight. So Hasim Rahman has his media workout day. He's looking 215. He's looking good. He's looking sharp. He's looking strong. He's looking good on the pads. He's moving really well. We see it. I'm sure Jake Paul saw it. And then all of a sudden there's a problem with the weight a week out, and they're not sure he can make it, so they cancel the fight. Like, it wasn't Rahman who canceled the fight. It wasn't the commission that canceled the fight. It was Jake Paul's team a week out over what they're calling weight and unprofessionalism. They didn't even give the guy the opportunity to make the weight. Like what are you people out there that are buying the bullshit that Jake Paul is selling? What do you believe in? Why do you believe it? They didn't even give him the opportunity to make the weight. He wasn't even given that opportunity. It's not like he showed up on Friday and was 215, 10 pounds over. He still had a week to lose 10 pounds. And they didn't even give him the opportunity to do that. So don't put the blame on Hasim Rahman. Put the blame on Jake Paul. They're the ones that canceled the fight a week out without giving the guy that they're fighting the opportunity to make the weight that they contracted him at. That's just strange, man. And you can't buy what Jake Paul's selling. You just can't, and I don't. And there's a lot of people who see through it. Like, if you look at the Tommy Fury fights, I would say 95% of the people I saw, boxing fans, boxers, promoters, people in the sport of boxing, 95% of them took Jake Paul's side on that. If you look right now, it's about 50-50. That's a big swing, going from 95% of people supporting you to 50. A lot of people are seeing through the bullshit here, right? A lot of people are seeing it. What I think happened is what I've always felt since day one, and that was they sent him over a contract they thought he would not agree to, so that they could continue this charade of professional fighters like Tommy Fury and Hasim Rahman being scared of him. It helps build him. It helps build his popularity. It helps build his pay-per-view sales. It helps build his ticket sales. When you push that shit out to the masses and to the ignorant and to the casuals and the people that don't really know boxing, it helps him. So they didn't think he was going to do it. Then he agreed to it, and Jake Paul had an oh shit moment. Like, oh shit, I did this. I thought he wasn't going to accept it. He did. Now we're here. And then so he went through all the charades at the press conference. He on purpose, he was making bets with him that he knew that he wasn't going to take. And he was saying this and he was saying that. He was building this whole thing up so that he could find a way to cancel the fight and blame Hasim Rahman for it. That's what all this was. It was just a charade. It was a show. He never had any intention in stepping into the ring with Hasim Rahman Jr. on August 6th. He had never had an intention to do that. Never. It was never in the cards. It was always going to be canceled. And if you don't believe me, go watch Sean Porter's interview with Marcos of Fight Hub. He did this interview weeks ago, and he predicted that the fight would be canceled, that Jake would go through all this bullshit, and then he would blame Rahman and help keep building himself up. And then literally a week out of the fight, what happens? You don't think that guys like Sean Porter know what the fuck is going on? You don't think guys like that in the sport, who have been around the sport, who have dealt with the business side of it, who have dealt with the contracts, the weight cuts, all these stipulations, you don't think those dudes know more than the average casual Jake Paul fan does? Like, come on. Right? This fight was never going to happen. Jake Paul was looking for a way out. He saw Hasim Rahman training. He knew he was in fucking trouble. He knew he was going to get knocked out. And he went to his team and said, let's offer him some more bogus stuff. And then if we don't hear from him, we're just going to cancel the fight. Like, you can't send something over and say, bro, you have till 11:59 p.m., but at 8 o'clock, I'm going to cancel it. He didn't even give him the full time. He didn't give him the full time to make the weight. He didn't give him the full time to agree to the new contract and let them know. He pulled all that stuff early and then wants to turn around and blame Hasim Rahman and his team for being unprofessional. The only one in this that's unprofessional is Jake Paul, his team, Steven Espinoza, Showtime Boxing. Those are the unprofessional ones. What they're going to do right now is continue to blame Rahman, look for some, dude that's on a Tyrone Woodley level to replace him, say this is the guy we could find last minute, have Jake Paul knock him out, get win number 6, and then start the whole charade over. That's what this is doing. This is a cycle. This is a cycle with this dude. And Hasim Rahman tried to tell everybody this at the press conference, during his media day, during all the interviews that he's been doing over the past couple weeks. He tried to tell everybody. And for those of us that are intelligent enough, we saw through the bullshit. We knew this is going to happen. And it is not Hasim Rahman Jr.'s fault. It is Jake Paul's fault. He's a joker. He's a fraud. He's a bum. He's a clown. Whatever you want to say, that's what he is. He's not a real fighter, and he was going to get his ass tore up by a real fighter. He knew it. BJ Flores knew it. Stephen Cunningham knew it. Steven Espinoza knew it. They all knew it. And they conspired behind scenes to come up with another bunch of bullshit to back out of the fight and try and blame it on the dude whose fault it is not, and that is Hasim Rahman. That's what happened. I don't care if you disagree with me. That's what happened. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. Thumbs up. Leave a comment in the section below. Let me know what you think about this Jake Paul, Hasim Rahman cancellation. What I said, all of the stuff that's out there, what Hasim Rahman said in his press release that he did yesterday, in his interview that he did today. Go watch that Sean Porter video. It's about 3 minutes long. Go see what he says in that. And then go re-listen to the wording, the things that Jake Paul said out of his own mouth at the press conference. And if you start adding 1 + 1 + 1 + 1, you are going to end up at 4. That's it from me. Again, hope you enjoyed the video. Until next one, I'm out of here.